I really looked up to you, man. I mean, you don't even really understand the impact you had on my life. But I respected your opinion in so many ways.
Man, I'm back in my city. It's always good to be home. Always good to be home. No place like it. This is it for me right here. This was where it all started. This is the house I grew up on, 2235 Courtney Ave, Barrard Park, Norfolk, Virginia. A lot of people grew up in this house. My mom grew up in this house. She was raised by her grandparents. I grew up in this house. My sister grew up in this house. This house right here has a lot of history. A lot of history. Legendary.
This house was built by my dad, his brothers, and everything back in 50 something. I was about 6 years old, so 6, 7 years old when they built this house. We moved in here, I think I was about 10.
Brandon is my first heartbeat. That morning, well, later on that evening, I had gone to the hospital and the doctor sent me back home. What they did was what they call today, you script your membrane. And they told me that I would be back before day. And I was. And not only that, but on the way to the hospital, I had stopped because I had gotten sick. And the police was after us. They did stop. And they stopped us to see what was going on because it was late, about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And we told him that we were on the hospital because I was having a baby. And he gave us an escort to DePaul Hospital. When we got to the hospital, I was in labor for a few hours. And then Brandon came about 6:15 a.m. that morning, which was on a Friday, September the 21st, 1984.
Growing up in Norfolk was one of the sweetest things. One of the funnest places on earth, to me. Norfolk, Virginia. That's my city. That's my hometown. I love it. There's always be home. But growing up, I was raised by my mom, me and my sister, my younger sister. She always kept us in church growing up. It was fun, man. My mom, she instilled a lot of things into me and to my sister. I was born in 84. My sister was born in 88. And sometime after that, my dad had to go do a bid. So I would like to say that my aunts on both sides played a major role in helping raise me and my sister and also help mold me into the man that I am today. That would be my Aunt Ann, which is my dad's sister, older sister, and on my mom's side, my Aunt Titi.
He stayed with me just as much as my children. He was like their sister and brother. When they moved, he moved. He was there in my house more than he was at home.
Well, my role is, pretty much I'm his aunt, so anytime that Brandon came to my house, he stayed as long as he wanted. Anytime he wanted to, I played a real big part of Brandon's life, as far as like helping raising him, being his auntie. You know, you can call him his aunt, his mama. Brandon ain't never got in trouble. I ain't had to lay a hand on Brandon. Everybody just wanted to be around Aunt TT, and he was one of the ones too.
My mom, she was a hairstylist, which she still is today. So on Fridays when we got out of school, we go up to the shop, and one of my aunts would come pick us up. Every weekend, it was a weekend routine for us, for me and my sister. 1 week we go over my Aunt Ann's house, 1 week we go over my Aunt TT's house, and that was the routine. And like I said, we was all close. All of my cousins, we was all close, you know, whether we was inside playing, watching TV, playing video games, outside playing. It was just whatever. We just had so much fun growing up.
Brandon is my first cousin. His mother and my mother are sisters. We grew up together more like sisters and brothers though.
He was a cool, laid back kid. Like, he hardly talked, but he was very goofy.
Brandon was always goofy around us. He's goofy. Me and him would sit around, laugh all day. He would make up songs. Can I say the song? One of the songs that he made, I would never forget. I be singing it to this day. He be like, French fries, or no, French, what is it? French fries, bacon and eggs, and a fried chicken leg, something like that. And then he be like, serve me just right. I cannot wait till I get home to eat it. Growing up with Brandon was fun. Like, we used to always have fun. He was goofy, but he was also shy and very reserved too. My aunt kept him and his sister in church. So, you know, on Sundays, we used to be mad because if he spent the night, it's like he got to go home on Saturday or either Sunday morning, and they be gone all day. Like, my aunt kept them in church all day. But yeah, it was a joy growing up with Brandon. He was really dope. He's one of my closest cousins, like a brother to me. So it's always been fun with him.
Every time, like, I would get in trouble or he would get in trouble and our mom would get at us, and he would just be like, well, how you gonna do that? Or, well, how in the world? And stuff like that, and that would make her change. You know, he was just very goofy, like, all the time.
This is Dominic.
And what's your relationship to Brandon?
B, that's my big cousin, man. Man, growing up with B, because that's what, you know what I mean, we always call him, of course, short for Brandon. Like, it was dope. Like, every time we were around each other, like, whether it was me, him, and my brother, me, him, and Courtney, or like once I became like a teenager, me and him used to hang tough so much to the point where me and him was hanging like we were brothers. But it was always laughter. It was always jokes.
Brandon was quiet. Always looked like he was being mischievous. I kept Brandon with me because I had sons, and Brandon with me and my sons when we did our traveling.
Brandon was an awesome child growing up. I never had any problems whatsoever with him. He, the only thing that I had trouble with, the teacher have maybe called me a few times, because after he finishes his work, he would bang on the desk, and always he say he likes to make beats, but he was really disturbing the other children. But that's what he did. That's the only problem that I had as he was growing up. He was a wonderful child, no problems.
Okay, he always says that you taught him a lot. What are some things that you told him that you think stuck with him up until today?
I've told Brandon many things, but to name one or two, I always told him to put God first. I always told him to reach for the sky. Whatever you can do it, and do your best. Always do your best. That's what I required, the best.
And I remember at a young age, my mom told me that a man should always have money in his pocket. And this, I was young, and that she instilled that in me, and I took heed to it. And my hustle started from there. So I asked my mom to take me to a local arts and crafts store and I would go in there and pick out a bunch of different colors of strings, and I would go to the dollar store and get, keychains, and I would, make keychains with the strings and walk around the neighborhood, and, asking, just walk around the neighborhood selling my keychains, family members, and, it just grew from there. It just grew from there. I always had a hustle. Always had a hustle.
Me and Brandon was like best friends growing up. Always together. More like brothers and sisters versus cousins.
I always loved my brother because once I had my baby, my first son, he was like, you don't know how to dress Malachi. You don't know how to dress him like a boy. He would always come and pick him up on the weekends or the weekdays, take him out, doing little boy things because his father wasn't in his life. But I can always say, and my son always still say, that's my uncle. And I'm like, that's the best brother ever. My brother always did for me. My brother always kept a job, always hustled, did whatever he had to do to keep money in his pocket. He always provided. I can always say that, like, my brother always had like 2-3 jobs. You know what I'm saying? Growing up, anytime I wanted something, anytime Jordans came out, any type of sneakers came out, if I didn't have it, my brother got it for me. Or he, like I said, if I needed him to come and get my son, he will always do that. He still does it now. He's 16 years old, still come and get him whenever. And he's hours away from us now. But yeah, my brother, he mad cool. He mad cool. Gotta get to know him.
Right. And right now we about to pull up at my old stomping grounds out Valentine and go to my grandma's house. And interview my Aunt Tawanda. That's where my pop's at. I'm gonna try to get him on camera. I'm gonna sneak him on there. He don't want to be on there, but I'm gonna get him on there. I'm gonna make sure I get him. Get that from the time, if I maybe can. This area over here, this is an Norfolk State. Look at this. Norfolk State NSU.
One of the biggest HBCUs in Virginia.
Before I even knew what homecoming was to Howard or NCAT, this right here where it started for me in Norfolk State. As a kid growing up, my mom, she used to always take us to the parades and to the games too, you know what I'm saying, for homecoming. And that's where I fell in love with the drums and wanting to make music. I remember, I never forget, we was at one homecoming. Norfolk State was playing Hampton University. And after the game, they had a battle of the bands. And that's where it hit me right then and there. I wanted to go, as a kid, I wanted to, when I got out of high school, graduated high school, I wanted to go to Hampton University and join the band. Just from that battle of the band session between Hampton University and Norfolk State. Like I said, I always had a love for music, but watching the bands, the battle of the bands, that's what made me want to pursue music. During my teenage years, or preteens, I would say the end of my 7th grade year, that's when my pops came home from his bid. After that, we moved out the beach. And my Aunt Ann, her oldest son, Shawan, my big cousin, he put me on to a lot, probably without even knowing. So I got to give a big shout out to him. When we went over there those weekends over my aunt's house, And like I say, Shawan, he was older, so sometimes he wasn't there. But I would always go in his room, play the game, and he had this boom box. He had all, you know what I'm saying, all the hottest music back in the 90s, early 90s, mid 90s. And that's where, you know, I was introduced to Master P, you know, Ghetto Dope, to the Last Don, Machiavelli, Biggie, Life After Death, and he had all the No Limit tapes, and I became a huge No Limit fan. Those that know me know I became a huge No Limit fan, all from going into my cousin Shawan's room, listen to music on this big boom box. And I done watched About It like a million times, watched it a million times, and that's where I came up. I was like, he did it. Master P did it big, and that's where when I started saying that Master P was my role model. Listening to his music and watching About It a million times. Not just, you know what I'm saying, glorifying anything, but from where he started to where he got to, and that always stuck with me ever since then. I think About It came out in '97. So yeah. Since then, you know, I've always looked up to Master P as one, you know, one of the GOATs that, you know what I'm saying, that came from nothing. As far as music, I gotta give a shout out to my Uncle Michael. He the one put me up on music. Cause like I say, my mom, she raised us up in church. So, you know, we always heard gospel music. We didn't listen to any rap music. But my Uncle Michael, he came around, I was probably, you know, wasn't even 10 years old yet. And, you know, he giving me some of his old cassette tapes. I remember one of the tapes was Eric B. and Rakim. I mean, at that time, I didn't know what it was. I just listened to it. You know, I never memorized anything. I didn't know what I was listening to. I was just listening. And he put me on LL Cool J. I was a big fan of LL Cool J back in the day, too. But one time I thought I was LL. And then, like I said, again, too, with my cousin Shawan, like I said, my mom raised us up in church. So if she seen that CD print with the parental advisory on there, she won't buy it for us. So that's when I went to my aunt's house, that's where I heard the music at. That's where I heard the music at. And I got to give a big shout out to both of them, you know, for putting me on to something. The reason I'm doing this documentary is to have some content put out there and to give, you know, let people know who I am. And it's, you know, also an experience for me as a director, as a producer, as a writer, as everything that goes on behind the scenes, on camera, sound man, everything, lighting. It's all an experience for me. So I'm putting this documentary out for one, for y'all can get to know me, know who I am, and show you a different side of me other than what you see on, you know, what I post on social media. And I would say I got this idea. It came to me. It's, you know, it's content to put out there, but I'm going to continue putting out content. So. This is the documentary, My World, My Way. I did it my way. And the story ain't finished. The story ain't finished.